So Democrats are continuing to prepare for the arrival of President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, even though President Trump has yet to concede or even discuss transition of power. So with me now for more on this from Washington is Nadeam Elshami. He is a former chief of staff to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and is currently the policy director at Brownstein, Hyatt, Farber, and Schreck. Thank you so much for joining us. So
thank you.
Let us talk about the strategy. We have spoken a lot about the strategy behind all of these lawsuits from the president's point of view. And we've listened to, the President-elect Joe Biden speak. He spoke just yesterday, and he seems to be sort of taking a lighter approach, calling it kind of an embarrassment, but nothing more than that. But I'm wondering about what's happening behind the scenes when it comes to Democratic leaders. What's the strategy for the Democrats in combating all of these lawsuits over the counting of the ballots?
Well, thank you again for having me. And clearly, the way the Democrats view these lawsuits and other attempts by the Trump administration and the current holder of the White House as direct attempts to destroy our democracy, to weaken the rule of law. They view them all as a path to nowhere, a road to nowhere. And they're taking their cues very closely from the incoming Biden administration. There's close contact between the Biden White House, incoming White House, and leaders in both the House and the Senate. They're coordinating policy over the next 2 months and what they want to do over the next 6 months, of course, depending on what happens in Georgia. So while they're being dismissed, I could tell you that there were trepidation prior to Saturday when the race was called for President-elect Biden. Then there was euphoria Saturday and Sunday. And slowly it has seeped into, we are not surprised that Trump would actually take these steps and that Republicans in the Senate and in the House would support him. We're just going to go about our business. We're going to prepare for an incoming Biden administration. And all this is going to get worked out because there's zero evidence of what they're claiming.
So over the last 4 years, we have seen a lot of unprecedented behavior. And so sometimes it's hard to put things in context. You have seen transitions close up, two in particular, President Obama in 2008 and President Trump in 2016. How does what is happening now compare to those two other transitions?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. In 2008, the historic nature of President Obama being elected and the class with which the Bush White House and the McCain campaign reacted after that election was second to none. And immediately after we were dealing with an economic crisis, President-elect Obama came to Congress, met with Speaker Pelosi and then Majority Leader Harry Reid, and we began to plot out what we're going to do over the next 6 months in order to get the economy moving again, in order to prepare. And that's when the stimulus was crafted. And then, 2016 seems to be years away. And the next day, I was on the phone listening in when then Leader Pelosi called President-elect Trump. And Democrats then offered a congratulation, which was extremely hard at the time, of course. But they also demonstrated their willingness to work with him and said, look, we could work on some tax reform. We could work on infrastructure. Congratulations, you're the duly elected president of the United States, even though you barely won by 70,000 odd votes across the country. But you have our promise that we will begin the discussions. And let me tell you a story, though. There was a very interesting time when the leaders of both the House and the Senate, Republicans and Democrats, went to the White House. I think it was in February to meet with him. And really one of the first things he said to then Leader Pelosi and others in the room is, look, I won the popular vote. And the response was, no, Mr. President, you did not win the popular vote. So this has been going on for 4 years. He despises losing, and clearly he lost the House in 2018. He lost this election. on Saturday when it was called. And during these, he's losing the lawsuits one by one, and and he's going to lose again if there are recounts. So this is really going to be disruption of our democracy. But I am fully confident that Democrats in the House and the Senate, with the leadership of President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris, we'll be able to put the pieces back together and get us moving in the right direction and out of this mess.
I think what is also sort of curious and troubling about this current situation is that even other Republicans, Republican leadership, are sort of co-signing on the president's assertion that the election isn't over yet. Some of them have won. Mitch McConnell won during this election. So the idea that the election for him was valid, but not for the president, or might not be for the president, is sort of, there's a lot of questions there. And so I want to ask you, did Democrats expect leading members of the GOP to fall in line behind the president in this way? And what sort of impact could this have on the transition?
I am working for Leader and Speaker Pelosi. She often said that nothing surprises me, and that was her saying, and she truly believed us. I don't believe they were surprised. Perhaps maybe they didn't expect it to be this widespread by the Republicans. But they're not hiding their motivation. Their motivation is they want to ensure that Trump does not turn on them, and that way they would impact and affect the Georgia Senate races, which is so detrimental to our democracy that the two Senate races are actually the reason why we are Republican senators. It seems like, and I'm not going to say what their thinking is, putting us in this position, and they're not congratulating President-elect Biden. But this. I don't know how long this is going to continue for, but the votes have been counted. They will be whatever is left will be counted. The states will be certified, and we're just going to have to. They're going to have to move on. But you're just seeing what this president is doing across agencies and across departments. He is undermining our Constitution, our democracy, and I just hope that there's going to be a moment of clarity within the Republican conference where they would say, enough is enough. And what's telling is in Texas they're looking for a crime where a crime did not occur, or fraud where fraud did not occur. The president won Texas by 7%, I believe. Senator Cornyn was reelected by 10%. Democrats did not pick up any House seats, yet somehow there were fraud. So, well, it smacks of attempting to satisfy this president in order to win those Senate races.
Nadeam, before I let you go, I got to ask you about this. If you've been on the internet, then you know there are all manner of conspiracy theories and falsehoods that find a home on there. You have found yourself caught in the middle of this web. There have been false claims against you and your connection to Dominion Voting System. It's a company that supplied equipment to several states this year. Your response to these claims, what do you make of them? What do you have to say?
Ridiculous. It's simple, plain, and straightforward. Absolutely ridiculous.
Plain and simple. That is the best response you can have. Nadeam Elshami, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.